This movie tells the story of a former secret agent, and it starts with a Japanese crime lord named Kurita. He's sweating like a marathon runner, but he just finished assaulting an unconscious woman. After cleaning up, he sinks into his sofa. Kurita receives a call from a mysterious person, and he responds with anger, as if being threatened. Looking out of the window, Kurita realizes that all his men have disappeared. He heads off to call his henchmen over the phone, but there's no answer. Kurita senses something is wrong and grabs a shotgun for self-defense. He takes refuge in a darkened room with covered windows, thinking he can surprise the intruder. But Kurita gets a surprise of his own as a man attacks him from behind, strangling him until he's lifeless. The attacker, a man named Kim, tells Kurita to shush, making suffocation easier for him. Kim is a former secret agent known as a lethal murder machine, but now he is working undercover as a contract assassin. After completing his task of strangling Kurita, Kim dons his disguise as an electrician and walks away from the crime scene. The government feared that Kim's intense training would transform him into a merciless rogue assassin, with an insatiable thirst for blood, and that he might eventually turn against them. Consequently, they dismissed him from his post in the intelligence agency and erased all traces of his existence. Nevertheless, Kim still receives job offers from certain individuals willing to pay exorbitant amounts for his lethal skills. After years of being an assassin, Kim decides to retire following his successful mission to eliminate Kurita. However, Shimada, a man who seems to offer assassination contracts, tries to convince Kim to take one last job. Shimada informs Kim that Kurita's brother, Ray, also known as the Butcher, is out for vengeance and wants to track down his brother's murderer. However, Kim is not interested in the job, keeping retirement as his priority. After receiving the payment, Kim instructs his bank manager to handle the money, and sits at a diner contemplating his retirement plans. As he sits, Kim notices a painting of a serene beach. Not sure where it is, he asks the waiter to look at the painting and tell him about the place. The waiter says that it's Panama. The colors of the painting, the golden sand and the sapphire blue ocean, give him a feeling of calm, and he decides to retire there. Kim keeps looking at the painting, and imagines spending his remaining life in a peaceful environment. The scene shifts to Thailand, where the morning sunlight filters through the window, illuminating a woman named Youngju as she prepares breakfast for her daughter Yumin. They both are living a wonderful and happy life together. Youngju is a stunning woman with delicate features. Youngju is completing a real estate deal and wants to buy a beautiful piece of property in Bangkok. Due to the importance of the meeting, she is in a rush, but first drops off her daughter at school, and then goes on to meet with the client later in the day to finalize the deal. However, while she wants to finalize it, the real estate agent, having some hidden purpose, tells her to think about the deal for 2 more days. As the day progresses, a sense of dread builds within Youngju when a strange woman arrives at her daughter's school, claiming to have been sent by her. But instead of returning Yumin home, the woman kidnaps her. Youngju tries to reach out to Kim, her ex-boyfriend and Yumin's biological father, through his former superior Chun Sung, who still works at the National Intelligence Agency. However, Kim no longer wants to be connected to Youngju, fearing that it will endanger her life. He asks Chun Sung to tell Youngju that he's deceased, leaving her feeling lost and alone. With no other options, Youngju is forced to contact Kim once again, as the Thai police have been unable to help her due to the increasing cases of child abductions in the country. While gazing at the heartbreaking posters of missing children, Youngju's phone suddenly rings. She hears the voice of a mysterious man on the other end, who tells her that he has information regarding her daughter, but tells her not to involve the police and instead just pay the kidnapper. Youngju, now a distressed mother, looks desperate to see her daughter again. She hastily agrees to meet the unknown caller without thinking about her own safety. The scene then shifts to a flashback, when Kim was still a spy for the National Intelligence Agency. He drives a captive man to his superior, Chun Sung, claiming that the man had attempted to assassinate him. Chun Sung tells Kim to leave the country alone, as his life is in danger, and warns him not to bring Youngju with him. Kim directly goes to meet Youngju, and tells her he plans to flee the country. He persuades her to flee with him, but as they approach the elevator, several agency officers come inside the elevator, attacking Kim. In a brutal fight, Kim strategically shoots each one of them, and the final bullet flies past Youngju's head, splattering blood across her face. Kim, from that time, makes his decision that Young-ju cannot remain safe with him, so he goes on without her. In the present, as Kim finds Young-ju again, his worst fears come to life, as she has become a victim of murder and human trafficking. Some of her organs are missing, and the scene is gruesome. The doctors give Young-ju's belongings to Kim, and he takes them with grief. Among her things, he discovers several photos of Young-ju with a little girl. But who is she? Kim is at a loss. With nowhere else to turn, he seeks out Chun-sung, hoping for some answers. When Chun-sung tells him that the little girl is Yu-min, Kim's biological daughter, he is stunned. How could Young-ju have kept this a secret from him? But as Kim tries to make sense of this revelation, he receives a chilling call from Shimada. Rei, a ruthless Japanese gangster, is seeking revenge for the murder of Kurita, and is hunting them down. Shimada warns Kim to run as far as possible, because Rei is known for his cruelty and brutality. And with that, Shimada hangs up, leaving Kim to fend for himself. As Kim tries to evade Rei, Shimada's taxi gets hit and he is captured. Rei tortures Shimada, demanding information about the slayer of his brother and his henchmen. With no other choice, Shimada discloses information about Kim to Rei, hoping for forgiveness. But Rei shows no mercy and hangs Shimada in a butchering style, finishing him, leaving Kim to face his wrath alone. As Kim arrives in Thailand, he is desperate to find his biological daughter Yu-min and get to the bottom of the mysterious abduction of his ex-lover Young-ju. However, Rei, the gangster, also arrives in Thailand, and is closing in on Kim after his interrogation of Shimada. Rei decides to take out everyone in Kim's life, before brutally ending Kim himself. Desperate for answers, Kim seeks out Chun-sung's friend and informant, Young Bae, in Bangkok. After some digging, they suspect that the real estate agent, Jong-soo, who Young-ju met before Yu-min's abduction, is involved in the kidnapping, because he knew Young-ju had the money. With rage in his heart, Kim confronts Jong-soo and threatens him, until he finally reveals the location of Yu-min. In a fit of anger and despair, Kim mutilates the man, cutting off 2 of his fingers, before learning the devastating news that Yu-min has been murdered. In a final act of vengeance, he slashes Jong-soo's veins, leaving him to bleed out alone in his car. As Rei arrives in Bangkok, he faces difficulty in locating Yu-min's abductor. However, his informant gives him a lead and takes him to an abandoned garage. To his surprise, he finds dozens of thugs waiting for him, but Rei is no ordinary man, he's a cold-blooded criminal. Rei fights off the thugs with his pocket knife and stabs each of them brutally. After the massacre, he puts ice cubes on his face to soothe the pain and demands information from the guy who brought him there. Kim successfully tracks down the nanny kidnapper and her husband, and ties them both to chairs. Kim tortures the kidnapper's husband by cutting off his fingers, and unable to watch the torture anymore, she admits to being just a pawn in the game, and reveals that Yu-min is still alive. She divulges the name of the human trafficking syndicate responsible for the heinous act. At the prospect of finding his daughter, Kim returns to Young Bae to seek assistance in locating the syndicate. Young Bae introduces Kim to a transgender lady boy named Yui, who has connections and sources among those who have interacted with the traffickers. With Yui's help, Kim makes contact with the traffickers and discovers the location where they've imprisoned the children. To get in, Kim and Yui hatch a plan to pretend to be searching for a little girl from South Korea with specific features. At the building, they are told that a girl matching the description was taken away earlier, but they get no further information. Disappointed but undeterred, Kim pushes forward, determined to save his daughter. As Kim grows increasingly desperate to find his daughter, he turns to the captive children for help. One of the kids steps up and informs Kim that the abductors have taken them for surgery. Meanwhile, Yui keeps watch at the door, but the guards become suspicious and point their guns at her. In a split second, Kim seizes the opportunity and disarms the abductors, taking them out. Kim demands answers from the guard, who reluctantly divulges some information. She reveals that Yu-min is due to undergo heart surgery, but refuses to reveal anything more. Fortunately, the boy who spoke up earlier knows where they have taken her, and tells Kim that it's Yang Roa. Determined to find his daughter, Kim takes the boy with him and sets out to the location. However, it seems that Rei, also on the hunt for information, is stabbing and cutting people in front of them. It's a brutal and violent scene, but Kim knows that he must stay focused on his mission to save Yu-min. They both strike at each other, and Kim's machete falls, but he still fights bare-handed. He uses his fists to strike back at Rei, who responds with equally powerful punches. The fight is savage and intense, with neither man giving an inch. During the chaos, Kim realizes the urgency of his mission, as he has to save his daughter. As the fight continues, Kim realizes he cannot waste any more time. Kim successfully locks Ray out of the room and escapes by breaking an iron bar on the window. He runs through the balcony and gets down using a hanging ladder from the building. Meanwhile, the police arrest Yui when she brings out a kidnapped boy from inside the building. She is seen sitting in a prison, and the inmates are making fun of her, but police eventually release her when she proves that she was not involved in the kidnappings or murders inside the building. As Kim continues his desperate search for the location of his daughter's heart transplant surgery, Ray makes a detour to a gun shop. Inside, he nonchalantly peruses the weapon selection, before making a startling request for the shopkeeper to call Chow Fo. The shopkeeper hesitates, and giving no time to think, Ray smashes his face with the butt of his gun. Soon, Chow Fo's thugs arrive, but Ray is already armed and ready, with guns and grenades in hand. He demands information on the whereabouts of a little South Korean girl who has been recently abducted. Meanwhile, Kim reaches his destination, and looking at a kid playing football, he asks him about the factory, but when he reaches the building, he realizes that he's in the wrong building. As he peers out of a window, he catches sight of a little girl in the opposite building's window. Could it be Yumin? However, as he turns around, Kim is startled to see police officers tracking his every move. Suddenly, he spots his daughter, and the human trafficking syndicates are taking her away. Without hesitation, he dashes after her, but his mission is quickly thwarted as Ray appears out of nowhere in a tuk-tuk, armed to the teeth. Ray aims at Kim's car and starts shooting like crazy, leaving Kim with no choice but to reverse his car. While dodging the bullets successfully, another car slams his car from behind. However, Kim recovers and continues driving. As Kim tries to prevent his daughter's heart transplant surgery, the police confront him for the murder at the kidnapping building. But Ray shows up and blindly attacks Kim, providing him an unexpected assist by drawing the police's attention away from him. Ray manages to evade the police blockade and allows Kim to escape the shootout. Later, while Ray is engaged in a fierce battle with the police, he faces difficulty dealing with their attacks. But with his resourcefulness, Ray takes out the police and SWAT team with well-placed grenades and makes his escape. As Kim reaches the building, he finds himself amidst a battleground, with guards and surgeons standing in his way. He takes his aim and starts shooting, his wounds only fueling his determination to rescue his daughter. Finally, he manages to take her away from the premises, and together they flee to a hotel room, where he tends to his injuries and staples his wounds with a stapler. Keeping his daughter safe, he contacts his friend and asks him to find them a secure place, where no one can harm them. While all of this is happening, Lon, the head of the Chaupa criminal syndicate, is furious with the havoc created by Kim and Ray, which has caused significant damage to their operations. He gathers his men, but suddenly Ray appears with a grenade and threatens to blow up the place if they attack him. Ray offers to work with the syndicate to capture and eliminate Kim, falsely accusing Kim of seeking revenge against Chaupa because of his daughter's kidnapping. Lon agrees to Ray's proposal and orders his men to assist him. Ray and the syndicate's men extract information about Young Bae, who was Kim's informant. They torture him to reveal Kim's current location, and then end his life. As Kim hides in the hotel, he worries about the health of his daughter, as she is looking deeply traumatized by her kidnapping experience, unwilling to eat or speak. Kim calls Yui, and hopes that she can take care of his daughter, if anything happens to him. He contacts a doctor to look after her until Yui arrives, wanting to make sure that she's in good hands. Kim takes a moment to connect with his daughter, showing her a coin trick that her mother used to do. Yumin asks for a hug, and Kim is moved to tears, feeling a deep sense of regret for not knowing his daughter sooner. Now, he wants to do everything to save her from this nightmare. After learning that Young Bae has been murdered, Kim immediately arranges a plan so that Yumin and Yui can immediately leave Bangkok and go to a safe place. However, when Kim leaves to give his payment to the person, so that he and his daughter can go to Panama, a feeling of dread gnaws at his gut. He suddenly rushes back, aware that every moment counts in ensuring his daughter's safety, but when he gets to the hotel, it seems that Lan's thugs are waiting for him. Kim's instincts kick in, and he swiftly takes on the attackers one by one with his fighting skills. As he moves up the stairs, he fights even more henchmen, and soon the thugs outnumber him, but he defeats them. Even with 2 stab wounds, Kim will not back down, determined to save his daughter at all costs. As he reaches his hotel room, Kim is greeted by a harrowing sight: Ray, Lan's men, and his daughter's doctor lying lifeless on the ground. His heart sinks as he sees the thugs taking away his daughter in a suitcase, like a piece of luggage. Despite being incapacitated, Kim remains conscious of what is happening around him. He is devastated when Ray reveals his true intentions, of ending Yumin's life or doing far worse than that, to make Kim suffer, and shoots down Lan's henchmen. He tries to resist, but he's outnumbered and weak, unable to prevent them from taking his daughter away. He feels helpless and frustrated, knowing that he can't do anything to stop Ray. He wonders how he could let this happen to his daughter and himself. The thugs force Kim to get in the truck. Yui sees it happening while waiting for Kim in the parking lot, and her instinct kicks in, and she jumps into a car without hesitation. However, her driving skills are not on par, and she ends up ramming the van with her car, successfully freeing Kim from the captor's grasp. Kim is now more determined than ever to save his daughter, and heads straight away to catch up with Ray, who is taking Yumin with him. As he runs after the car, Kim shoots at the windshield, but the car keeps moving. Undeterred, Kim leaps and slams his elbow into the car, managing to get inside and firing several shots at Ray. A fight between Ray and Kim ensues, and they grapple with each other as the car careens out of control, before crashing into a nearby stall. As Kim is about to rescue his daughter from the suitcase, Ray strikes him with a fatal blow to the chest. Kim is a fast thinker as he looks at Ray's bag, grabs a grenade, and throws it under the car to detonate it. This causes a catastrophic blow, crashing the car through a building. Despite his own injuries, Kim heroically saves his daughter and hands her over to Yui, before facing Ray one last time. Ray proves to be a formidable foe, viciously stabbing Kim multiple times. Realizing his fate, Kim decides to make the ultimate sacrifice to protect his loved ones. He detonates another grenade, taking Ray and himself out together. Kim, being the thoughtful man he is, seems like he already planned for the worst-case scenario. He left a bag of cash and important documents for Yui and Yumin, to ensure their safe passage out of Thailand. In the end, Kim's love for his daughter was his major motivator to make the ultimate sacrifice, and he leaves behind a legacy of fatherly love and bravery. Kim wanted Yui to take his daughter to a peaceful beach in Panama, and live a happy and carefree life. In accordance with his final request, Yui and Yumin leave Thailand and start a new life in Panama. The photo frame at their new residence reveals a touching picture of Kim, alongside Youngju and Yumin. This film shows a father's love for his daughter and his fierce determination to keep her safe, without thinking about his own life. But the ultimate lesson of this film is the danger of seeking revenge and holding on to anger. It only leads to more pain and suffering, as seen by the tragic fate of Ray. Like a fire that burns everything in its path, revenge consumes us and leaves us with nothing but ashes. This message resonates with us all, reminding us to choose forgiveness and love, instead of revenge and hatred.